Welcome aboard, everybody. Glad to have you on this Tuesday. Glad to be here and hope you're enjoying the day. Another fun one ahead for us. Mike DeCourcy will join us, but a few special guests. In Campbell's corner, Nick Ziesloft and Mr. Judson, former assistant coach, Coach Rob Judson, former assistant coach at Indiana, former head coach at Northern Illinois. Plenty going on. Tourney time, World Baseball Classic. We've got it all happening. Hope you're doing well, and hope your day has started out well. If not, we've got to get it in that direction. How about the weather's been nice? So, nothing to complain about here, baby. Take your complaints elsewhere. Alec Pierce staying with the Colts. Huge news for the Colts as they look to solidify the team going forward next year, meaning they put the franchise tag on Daniel Jones. Now they've got to get him signed. And that'll be that. So looking forward to Mike joining us as the conference tournaments. Well, they were underway last week. Let's don't forget that. I don't want to call them the smaller ones. The conferences, they get less TV time, so they split that up. And but this week, everything is going. The ACC, the Big Ten, the SEC, the Big 12, and many others as well. Start today. Indiana plays tomorrow up in Chicago at the Big Ten tournament. Mike DeCourcy, of course, will be with us. Probably coming live from Chicago, I would imagine. But a lot's going on. Can Indiana secure a spot? Because they're going to have to do it in Chicago. They're going to have to. They have to beat Purdue. Let's be. There's the long and the short of it. Not only do they have to win their first game, they got to get to that second game so they can beat Purdue, beat a solid team. That will get them back into the tournament. I'm pretty confident of that, especially when you beat Purdue. If you beat Purdue 2 out of 3 times, there's no keeping you out there. But hey, and before I forget, I don't want to forget this. Our old friend Fulton Mraz and his Hamilton County Chargers Special Olympics basketball team finished second place. Got him a silver medal over the weekend, and I know he's got some big bowling things coming up this week, so we're all cheering for Fulton. So there you go, Fulton. Go get you some, baby. Go get it. Bring her home. Let's see. I mentioned Alec Pierce. We'll talk more about that, but that's huge for the Colts. And you want to talk about football news? You want to talk about who's making moves in the NFL? Almost said it. The Las Vegas Raiders. The Las Vegas. You just gotta say the Raiders. I almost said Oakland. I swear it was out of my mouth. But the Las Vegas Raiders, they're making moves. They trade Max Crosby to Baltimore to the Ravens. They pick up 2 first-round draft picks, one for this year, one for next year. And that's on top of the number 1 pick they had that will most likely be used for Fernando Mendoza. They're building a team, people. So they make those moves. Now, they've doled out millions of dollars yesterday. Free agent center Tyler Linderbaum agreed to a 3-year deal. So they got him a veteran center for the new quarterback. The Raiders and wide receiver Jalen Naylor agreed to a 3-year deal. So getting him in moves to improve the defense, they reached deals with linebackers Quay Walker and Nakobe Dean and Quiddy Pay. You know that name, former Colt. Dean agreed to a 3-year deal. So they're reaching agreements, man. Defensive end Malcolm Coates, they're signing people. They're want to be, I don't know, they want to have a team that can protect a new quarterback. They're making all the moves. You can see this. So it's going to be interesting to see how that works out. We'll talk more about that when Mike joins us. But yeah, man, that's what's going on. They're making the moves, people. That's a lot of stuff for a team. They were getting after it. So now we'll see how the rest of that goes. For Fernando Mendoza and the rest. Hey, we'll have Lewis Moore on this week, by the way, as he prepares for the upcoming draft, expected to be taken at somewhere in the first 4 rounds. Great defensive back for Indiana. How about the World Baseball Classic? Yesterday, a huge game for USA. Coach traded Pittman to the Steelers. I may have missed that one. Jason said that they said they want Fernando to sit a year. Well, who's going to play quarterback? They're releasing their starting quarterback for last year. So who's going to play quarterback for the Raiders? Yeah, I mean, I would imagine they would want him to sit. I don't think that coming in as a rookie is and starting. No, that's not the optimum. That's not the optimum way to go, because the learning curve between high school and college is pretty big. The learning curve from college to the NFL is pretty massive. It's not big, it's massive. Because you're playing against guys who, first of all, know what it's like to play in the NFL. It's not college, people. It's the fastest of the fast. It's the hardest hitting of the hardest. It is everything of the best. I truly believe the NFL has, I've said this in a similar way another time, but the NFL, I believe, has the most elite athletes of the 4 major sports. 5, you can throw soccer in there. I don't care. 5. They still have the most elite athletes, the strongest, the fastest, just of all of those things. And that's what makes it difficult and challenging. But so, yeah, I would agree they would prefer not. But who is going to play quarterback? We just saw they're releasing last year's starter. They plan to. So, World Baseball Classic, the United States 5, Mexico 3. Aaron Judge whacked a 2-run homer for Team USA. So that helped. Now they're back at it tonight. Brian says the Raiders also have Aiden O'Connell. And John Spytek says he is not in favor of rushing a young quarterback. Well, no one is into the starting lineup. They may sign a veteran to start his season. Well, that would be wise to do. But yes, Yeah. Then why release the veteran you have? Just let him play it out, unless it's a money thing. But, Geno Smith cut. So there you go. They're looking at the old man. Please, you're not talking about Phillip Rivers. No way. Ha! That would be funny. But anyway, I'm kind of going back and forth here between the World Baseball Classic and the Raiders. The Raiders. World Baseball Classic back at it tonight. USA taking on, I forget who they play tonight. Someone like Venezuela or someone. Oh, Joe Flacco. That's not who they're taking on, but Fred said he's pulling for Penn State tonight. Well, yeah, good luck with that, as he's talking about the Big Ten tournament as that gets underway. As I said, today up in Chicago. And it is not alone. They are not alone. There's going to be quite a few games today. And Baylor, Arizona State, looking at the bigger ones, Pittsburgh, Stanford. Man, all these conference tournaments, the ACC, Utah at Cincinnati, Syracuse, SMU, Maryland, Oregon. Yeah, boy, there's the honor. Sorry, Maryland versus Oregon. The Big Ten tournament, okay, I don't mean to gap on these teams, but who in the hell gives a crap about Maryland and Oregon and Penn State and Northwestern? Nobody, except for Penn State, Northwestern, Maryland, and Oregon. Why are you playing? Your season was so bad. Put it away. Focus on next year. Hell, focus on getting yourself a team because you suck. Why are you worried about playing in the Big Ten tournament? You should be worried about getting ahead of other people and building a team. That's what I would think. Gee whiz. That's awful. I mean, yeah, that's awful. We don't need 200 teams in the Big Ten tournament and then turn around with 400 teams in the NCAA tournament. It's getting ridiculous. Look at the brackets for these conference tournaments. That's before the NCAA tournament. It's just make it a part of it. Gee whiz. I think it is ridiculous to have that many teams playing. What are they playing for? Really? Does anybody think that Maryland or Oregon or Penn State or Northwestern has a snowball's chance in hell of doing jack squat? No. So why are you wasting everyone's time? You're wasting TV time. You're wasting everything. This is a waste of time, a waste of money. So, yeah, it is what it is. But we'll talk to Mike DeCourcy about it. Gonna take a quick break. Back with plenty more right after these messages.
Indiana football accomplished what no other team ever has. Big Ten, Rose Bowl, Peach Bowl, and CFP national champions. The Hoosiers have etched their name into the history books as the first 16-0 team in the modern era. A limited edition of only 5,000 commemorative national championship footballs has been released. 3 full panels embossed and stamped with every championship logo and fully licensed. Get your piece of history today at NICOsports.com. That's NIKCOSPORTS.com. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISB Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on The Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemoreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage, and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Bored, Bloomington? Dave & Buster's can fix that. Eat and drink your way through our all-new menu. Play half-price games every Sunday through Thursday. Watch all your team's wins on a 40-foot screen and 30 HD TVs. And level all up with the high-flying human crane that puts you in the game. Private game suites, our exclusive arena, and more. Only at Dave & Buster's on 731 South College Mall Road.
Welcome back, Indiana Sport. On this, I knocked my camera out. I made everybody's day, Mike. I just knocked my camera out. Mike DeCourcy joining us. I didn't know if you were going to be in Chicago or not with the tournament going on. I figured that you might head that direction, but obviously not back in Pittsburgh, where they're making deals. A lot of deals going on in Pittsburgh as well. Then what the hell? Aaron Rodgers, he's still, I haven't decided yet. I'm still thinking. Oh, come on, man. You got a franchise that needs to know. You got a new coach, a new team. Give them a decision. Let them move forward or start doing what they need to do. But you know he's going to play. He's drawing this out for drama, Mike. Drama. He wants drama.
Well, I personally at this point, they've put themselves in a situation where by choosing not to go after Malik Willis, which at the money paid, I'm kind of okay with that. I like the idea of Willis if he were going to get a contract similar to what Justin Fields did a year ago, which I believe was $20 million, $10 million guaranteed, something like that. Willis is a little pricier with a lesser frame of reference. Willis had a really nice end of season last year with Green Bay. He did a terrific job for the Packers in a very limited role, whereas Fields had started a lot of football and not played terribly with the Bears and in 6 games with the Steelers. But the prices go up now, especially after you look at the quarterback draft class and you say, okay, there's Fernando Mendoza, and then there's and that's the problem, right? There's no one after that. And so all of a sudden Malik Willis gets $36 million or something like that, even though what his track record is now, like I said, played really well for the Packers at the end of the year, but his track record prior to that was failure. And so there's not a lot to go on, but the Dolphins are investing fairly significantly in the possibility that he might excel with them.
Yeah, well, we'll see as all that moves forward. But right now, more importantly, in your world and everyone else's, the men's Big Ten tournament going on. Well, there's all kinds of stuff going on right now. Actually, it's crazy. World Baseball Classic going on at the same time. Last night you got USA and Mexico, a gigantic game. I know you're a huge World Cup or soccer guy. World Cup. It's like, I'm not gonna say it's like having the World Cup go on, but it's a major international thing that's going on at the same time. A little weird. We're not accustomed to having something so large compete with the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, and I guess it'll go on for a while. I'm not sure exactly what the schedule for the baseball classic involves, how long it goes. I do know that it's odd that some of the US's best players are saying, okay, we'll come in, say hi, and throw a few pitches, and we're out. That part of it. I mean, that doesn't happen in the World Cup. You don't say, okay, I'm going to play this one game, and then I'm going home and put my feet up or whatever. Yeah. That's an oddity. And the fact that they came in, like Paul Skeens pitched last night, and I think the intent is for him not to pitch again. Why not come in for like the semifinals? Why come in to throw 4 innings against Mexico in a pool game? Why not go for the biggest game if you're going to throw a limited amount of time? That's the part I don't get. And we're seeing the same with other key players for the U.S. as well. So maybe they'll change their minds and want to be a part of it, but I kind of doubt it.
Just to make his day, having the renowned Mike DeCourcy on at the moment, there's something, the Special Olympics, the Hamilton County Chargers, led by Fulton Mraz, our own buddy Fulton Mraz, they won a silver medal over the weekend, finishing in second place. So nice. I thought letting Mike DeCourcy know that would put a whole new shine on that for all of our Special Olympians, including Fulton, who this dude is busier than anybody I know. He calls me all the time, letting me know that, well, I got basketball going on. I got bowling going on. This dude is a busy, busy man. Fulton, you got it going on, brother.
Good for him, and good for the team as well. That's wonderful.
Absolutely. I mentioned it earlier, but I wanted to make sure that I thought it'd make it even more. Well, I know what have it even more special having you on with it. Now the tournament starts today early, and before you joined us, Mike, I was lamenting, and it may today's games are a waste of time, a waste of money. Nobody gives a rat's butt, and I don't care who these teams would have been. I don't care if it would have been, well, if it would have been Indiana, Purdue, that would be different because their fans are nuts. But any other team, nobody gives a crap about watching Maryland and Oregon and Northwestern and these last 4 place teams. Nobody cares. They're not going to do anything. And I think it's a waste of time, waste of money. It's this, give everybody a trophy, trying to get the NCAA tournament to expand it to 6,000 teams so we can do that there. Make it a freaking tournament, man. Make it real. Keep it what it is. It's the greatest sporting event I think that there is. There's just, other than the Super Bowl, which gets that attention, there's nothing that pulls people in for 3 weeks like the men's NCAA tournament.
Yeah, I'd rather expand the Big Ten tournament to include all the teams because that's been tradition, although the tradition hasn't been that there were 18 teams in it.
Right.
It's always been that once they introduced the Big Ten tournament in the early part of the century, it's always been everybody. 11 teams, 14 teams, now 18 teams. It's always been everybody except for last season when they took only 15 out of the 18. And I believe the ACC is doing that now with their tournament, that they eliminated, I think, 2 teams.
The Big Ten women's tournament stuck with 15.
And so I'd rather expand this than expand March Madness. I really think that it will or would be a massive error. And I have done this now for 7 years. This is my 7th season. doing the brackets for Fox Sports. Now, of course, in the first of those, we didn't have an NCAA tournament because of the pandemic. But for the last 6 years, in advance of tournaments that have or will happen, I look at those teams every day, especially as we get closer to the actual selection Sunday. I look at those teams every day, every night. What are they? Who deserves it? Who doesn't? And there is no such thing as a deserving team that is left out of the field now. You could say, because somebody's in and somebody's out, that a team that is left out is more deserving. Usually, and it's been my experience over the past 6 years, there's usually a team that the majority of those who do what we do, either professionally or as as a hobby, and when I say that, a lot of the people who do it as a hobby do it brilliantly, are great at it. So there's the only delineation between them is that I do a lot of television appearances and radio appearances and all that in support of the work that I do and get compensated for it. But a lot of the people who do it for fun do it great. But the majority of us usually have one team in that the committee decides a different team, puts a different one in. Last year, Carolina, almost none of us there were 200 on the bracket matrix, 200 brackets last year. And probably about 170 of them had West Virginia in, I believe. But the committee chose North Carolina. I remember distinctly, I think it was 22 or 23. Notre Dame got in over Texas A&M. And it was, again, the matrix, the bracket matrix, the analysts at bracket matrix mostly had A&M in. The committee chose Notre Dame. One of the principal reasons we all went in that direction was their resumes were very similar, but they'd actually played on a neutral floor, and A&M had won the game. So we put A&M in, and the committee chose Notre Dame. So there's usually one, but neither team could be framed as deserving. They just happen to be the last one because there were 68 spots. There hasn't been a deserving NCAA tournament team left out since Monmouth. I believe it was 16, could have been 17. That Monmouth team went, I think it was 17-3 in their league, but in non-conference, they beat Notre Dame, Georgetown, USC. They split with USC. I think they played them twice. So they had 3 high major wins. None of those teams was great, but they were all solid-ish. And as well as they dominated their league. I think under today's system, which is vastly improved since they introduced the net today and the quad system. Today's system, I think that Monmouth probably would have been in. Old system, antiquated. They were more prone to those sorts of errors. But since the quad system has been introduced, there's never been a deserving NCAA tournament team left out. And that's why Miami's going to get in, regardless of what happens in Cleveland. Now, it would be better for them if they make the MAC final. If they're going to lose, it's better if they lose it in the final. Better they lose to Akron, which is a terrific team, than if they lose in their semis, which will not be a terrific team, or if they lose in their quarters, which would be to a poor team.
Yeah, and this season it really looked like the Big Ten was going to potentially put 11 teams into the NCAA tournament. Then it looked pretty solid at 10. Right now, in your bracket, it's 9. Could be Indiana could work themselves into that. I talked about it earlier. I said I think they have to beat Purdue to get in, which would be their second game. It means winning 2 games. And if you beat Purdue twice out of 3 times,
yeah, they'll get in. They will get in if that happens. Now the concern for Indiana is that, first of all, you have to worry about, like, if you're a Hoosiers fan, go Redhawks. Absolutely want Miami to win. If you're a Hoosiers fan, go Billikens. Yeah. Definitely want St. Louis in.
No bid Steelers.
And then the third one is Utah State. Those three are all likely entrants. And if they have to take a bid off the at-large pile, that's fewer bids available for Hoosiers, for Missouri Tigers, for obviously. I mean, if VCU wins the Atlantic 10 away from St. Louis, I have them both getting in anyway, so there's room for the Hoosiers. And if St. Louis loses the Atlantic 10 to someone other than VCU, I suspect VCU will drop out. Because I think they can't afford to lose to anybody in the A-10 on a neutral floor. I don't think that isn't St. Louis. So I think that's not as much risk. But then Utah State, if New Mexico were to take down Utah State, I think that takes that takes a bid off the pile that might have been available for the Hoosiers. But at the same time, if it's taken away by somebody else like San Diego State or Colorado State or whoever, it's going to kick out New Mexico. New Mexico can't afford to lose in the Mountain West tournament to anyone but Utah State, wherever that would occur in their bracket. And I haven't seen their bracket. So I think that I think there are opportunities for the Hoosiers, and they won't be as bound as they were for bid steals as, say, the Sycamores were a couple of years back. Indiana State got left out because of 5 bid steals. There aren't 5 bid steals available this year unless let's say somebody like Mississippi State wins the SEC. And then that probably will kick out an SEC team, whether it's Texas or Missouri or someone like that. So at least the Hoosiers have it somewhat in their control. If they defeat Purdue, they'll make it, almost certainly. If they don't, it's going to be difficult, not impossible, because their metrics have continued to stabilize and improve in both categories. They're now, at this point, 47 in wins above bubble. That's not far from the field. That's pretty close.
They could could they shock people getting in if they lose to Purdue if it's a close game?
That's what I'm saying. First of all, they'd have to have the bid steal conversation would have to go perfectly to feel good about that. I mean, all 3 of the teams I mentioned would have to win their autos. I think that would be the first element. And then the second element is what Indiana's problem is right now. I mentioned 47 in wins above bubble. And they have pretty much it's pretty similar in terms of the resume metric average. The number's not as good because KPI does not like the Hoosiers. It does not flatter the Hoosiers, but it averages out.
Well, the Hoosiers don't like him either.
Didn't say Kevin didn't. I just said
kidding.
KPI.
Just kidding.
And so they're right around that. And then their predictive metrics are better than almost all the bubble teams. Not all of them, but almost all of them. They're not better than Texas. They're not better than Auburn. They're not better than, I guess Ohio State's technically not really bubble anymore, but they're better than most of the bubble teams in that circumstance. But where Indiana's argument really starts to get dented is in quad 1 wins, 3-11, not great. And then I think even more so, it's the quad 1 and 2 combined, which has traditionally been a pretty good indicator in terms of the quad marks of bubble success. Usually you see those teams close to 500, a little over 500, obviously 6-13, well below 500. And so that's kind of where Indiana has an issue with their resume at this point. And it's why if you beat Purdue, then you wind up with 7 1-2 wins, which helps. You wind up with a 4th quad 1 win, which helps. You wind up with a 3rd quad 1A win, which are the most difficult games to win. And unlike a lot of other bubble teams, NC State has a quad 4 loss. Texas has a quad 3 loss. Auburn has a quad 3 loss. Cal has a quad 3 loss. Stanford has 3 quad 3 losses. Indiana has clean quadrants in 3 and 4. It's not they're not the only ones. Beat Virginia Tech also has that, but it's fairly rare. And then Mizzou has a clean 3 and 4, but they have 8 quad 4 wins, which is a lot of their record. A lot of their victories are quad 4s, which certainly doesn't help them. So there are ways you can say Indiana belongs. There are ways you can say they don't. But if you beat Purdue, I don't think that you can keep them out.
No, I agree with that. But once again, I also say that why are you in this position? But
yeah.
That's another discussion. You put yourself here again over and over.
Well, let me talk about that, Jim, because my understanding is that
can we take a break and come back and talk about it? Perfect. Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News with me. When we come back, we're going to talk about Indiana's putting themselves in this position that they're in right now, and plenty more as the Big Ten tournament gets underway. Every tournament underway, ACC, Big 12, SEC, all of them going at it. Back with plenty more right after these messages.
The ISC Sports Network is your home for sports content across the Hoosier State. Find us live on TV and streaming or archived on our website and our app. The ISC is your one-stop shop for the content you want to see, including high school sports, college sports, and other great events throughout the year. Subscribe to our streaming service and get access to it all. ISC. Local lives here.
If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemoreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISB Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on The Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer.
Dave & Buster's Bloomington is the place to eat, drink, play, and watch. Enjoy half-price games every Sunday through Thursday, a new menu to dig into, and next-level upgrades like private game suites, the high-flying human crane that puts you in the game, our exclusive arena, and more. Only at Dave & Buster's Bloomington, 731 South College Mall Road.
Indiana football accomplished what no other team ever has. Big Ten, Rose Bowl, Peach Bowl, and CFP national champions. The Hoosiers have etched their name into the history books as the first 16-0 team in the modern era. A limited edition of only 5,000 commemorative national championship footballs has been released. 3 full panels embossed and stamped with every championship logo and fully licensed. Get your piece of history today at NICOsports.com. That's NICOsports.com.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Jim Coyle with you as always. Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News and Big Ten Network, as he is about to get pretty busy as the week is about to kick off in Chicago at the Big Ten men's basketball tournament, as all the fun stuff starts now. And when we left, me and Mike were talking about the fact that Indiana's in this position again. Sitting there toiling and the gnashing of teeth, the wailing and gnashing of teeth, Mike, for Indiana fans but I don't think that they're sitting there like they used to, because when you're in this position as much as Indiana has been, the apathy starts to set in a little bit. And there's a lot of apathy. I see a lot of people said, I'm done, yada, yada. But all it takes is winning. Winning cures everything. I say it all the time. I need to make a T-shirt, Mike, that just says "Winning cures all." Look at Indiana football, man. You win, they come, and that'll happen with Indiana basketball. As soon as they start winning again, all this stuff is out. But they are in this position again where they have been a lot.
It's different because it's not. It's
right.
Because this is the start of a new regime. This is not.
I get it.
This is not the end of Arch's rebuild that never quite reached fruition. This is not the treadwater maintenance of Mike Woodson that never really went where it might have gone. This is the start of something new. And this is the start of something new when, like, think about this, okay? I know it's a different era, but in 2008, Tom Crean takes over Indiana basketball and is left with no players, one walk-on who had played some, and no scholarship players.
Nothing. It was nothing.
And their first team, I think, won 12 games, something like that. But they established a culture. They established a baseline for, like, if you don't play this hard, you're not playing. And in 4 years, they were in the Sweet 16. And in 5 years, they were the number 1 overall seed in the tournament. Now, that didn't exactly go where everybody wanted it to go, but they were the number 1 overall seed in the tournament in 2013. And they had the Sporting News National Player of the Year and Victor Oladipo and 2 top 4 draft picks and all of that. And I'm not saying that's what's going to happen here, but in the circumstance that Darren DeVries was handed, no one who was a contributing player to last year's Hoosiers is a part of this team. It's all new. And to be in this position is not failure in this circumstance. And I know my understanding was that it got a little rugged at the last Assembly Hall home game, that people were not happy. And I just think there has to be an understanding that.
Well, there was one point they were booing Reed. Daggone it, forgetting his name.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah,
for no reason. I'm like, wait, what? Why?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking.
Why are you booing this guy? Just because? Why? Because he's not putting up 22 and 10 or something? I'm like, dude, what is going on? But it's I agree with what you're saying.
So I'm just saying that
what I think happened, Mike, which my opinion doesn't mean a lot, but I think I agree with exactly what you're saying, the coming in late and all of this, but there was a lot of focus on putting the staff together, and they have a hell of a staff. They have as good a staff as you probably have in college basketball, as far as the assistants now, especially with Ryan Carr being added to that. So they're prepared, and they did get into it late of being able to put players together. They weren't able to get a big Reed Bailey. Thank you, Jason. They weren't able to get the pieces that they wanted. And so that's just how it happened. As far as their staff that they've in place right now, I expect them to absolutely kill it for next year. They're going to have plenty of positions in the portal, and I think that they're going to get the players that they need, the type of players that they need. And if they don't, then you have reason to say, hey, okay, what's going on here? But I'm a year from that.
That's the point I'm making, really, Jim, is that not everybody is is Kurt Cignetti. That's just that what happened. What he was able to do is a once in a lifetime thing, and it's not happening anywhere else. Are there teams that are significantly overhauled and are better than the Hoosiers? Yes,
there's a lot of ADs looking for Kurt Cignetti's.
Yeah, I think a lot of schools will make mistakes in both football and men's basketball, trying to duplicate what happened there. And let me just say, it's not going to happen. You may approximate it. You may, if you do, you're probably just getting lucky in a sense. There's no reason to believe that what Kurt did was the norm, because it hadn't happened before and it's not likely to happen again. What he did was amazing, and every Indiana fan should revel in it. But I don't think that what Darren has done is poor. I think that what he's done has been pretty successful. Think about it. It took Ohio State 3 years to get to where Indiana stands right now. I mean, Ohio State is a little bit better in a little bit better position relative to the bubble to get into the tournament than Indiana is. It took them 3 years to get to this spot. Basically, Indiana put their roster that's in a similar position together in a month. Maryland hired Buzz Williams, who has been successful everywhere he's been. Successful at Marquette, successful at Virginia Tech, successful at A&M. He's been a lot of places. And he comes in and has the same framework, basically, little bit, maybe about a week less time, maybe 10 days than Darren did. And they are a poor team in the Big Ten. They are not successful at all. So I think that you should be encouraged if you're an Indiana fan that, one, they play attractive basketball, that if you get the right players should be entertaining to watch in the future. And two, that they have been as successful as they have. They did beat Purdue, your arch rival. They did go on the road and beat UCLA. They may not make the NCAA tournament. They may make the NCAA tournament. I don't think that's a bad result for A, what the amount of time you had, and B, the roster they put together in the amount of time they had. There's no way that if you were seriously looking at this last March and April, that you didn't say to yourself, man, where's the size? How are they going to defend the front court? Where's the power?
I asked Darren that at Huber's last May. Actually, I played it on the show again here not too long ago. So he knew, we knew, and that's what I'm saying. We knew, we all knew what it was. So there's no surprise, and just it's just I get it. It's been going on for a long time, and it's that apathetic reaction.
Yeah, but don't punish this group of players and this group of coaches for the things that didn't happen, or the mistakes that were made, or whatever else, however else you may view what happened in the last decade or so.
Mike, if they didn't complain, what in the hell would they do? No, just kidding. So, all right, we're heading into the Big Ten tournament. It starts today, but the meat of this thing doesn't really get going. And that's another thing. Today is like, I'm not even going to pay attention to the games today. I'll be honest with you. But like teams like Michigan and those guys, they don't even play till what, Friday?
Yeah. The four teams that were
triple buys.
I look at it as they have a buy into the quarterfinals, which is as it should be. They all deserve that opportunity to rest, and if they're going to play, if whichever of those teams might play 3 games in 3 days, certainly it's better for them that they don't have to go 4 games or whatever. I like that setup. If you're going to have all 18, I think they designed the bracket perfectly to set this up. And I look, one of the things that's really cool about this tournament is that when you get to, used to be that when you had a conference tournament, if you had a quarterfinal round, whatever day it might be in your tournament, Thursday or Friday, depending on whether you stage your championship game on Saturday or Sunday, if you had a quarterfinal round with 4 or 5 NCAA tournament teams in it, you had a pretty good quarterfinal round. If you had 6 or 7, you had an amazing quarterfinal round. You had a great tournament. Now you look at the bracket, and you're going to have on Thursday, which is not even the court, it's the round ahead of the quarterfinals. You are guaranteed right now to have a third round now, a third round in which every single one of the games that will be played that day will have an NCAA tournament team in it. All 4 games. You're guaranteed that. Now, in some of those games, if Iowa wins its game against the Maryland-Oregon winner, then both teams, Ohio State and Iowa, will be tournament teams. Then you have Wisconsin against the winner between Penn State, Northwestern, and Washington. Then you have Purdue and possibly Indiana in that game, that evening game. And that could be a game involving multiple tournament teams. And then you have Rutgers, Minnesota versus UCLA. So that's a pretty good third round pre-quarterfinal. I guess in England they call it eighth finals. I love that. It's one of the only English sporting terms that I love. Eighth finals they call that. That's
like a Royale with cheese.
Yes, exactly.
Man, I can't wait. It's all getting hitting off. I've got like a minute here, so I'm good. Do you know Coach Rob Judson?
Yeah, sure. He used to be at Illinois,
Northern Illinois. He's been everywhere. Former assistant in Indiana, all over the place. He's in Campbell's corner, what we call Campbell's Corner now. JD Campbell, and he's got Coach Rob in there today, and Nick Ziesloft. But since he is on, I thought I would. I always like to do this, a little crossover, bringing. All right, got them all in there now. JD's in, Coach Rob Judson's in, Mike DeCourcy. We've got you all on.
Gentlemen,
good morning.
How are you?
Good morning. It's great to be with you guys.
Morning, gang. I just fed the birds outside. And I'm getting ready for practice.
That's the quote I was expecting. I just fed the birds outside. Sounds like the beginning of an Alfred Hitchcock radio show.
I'm coming off 5 days as the moderator of the press conferences at the Big Ten women's basketball tournament. So I got some of the go-go juice in me left over from those 5 days of seeing people. And the fact that I can, Mike, always been one of my favorites, who I put out in the tweet the other day about.
I saw that.
You're
I
the
appreciated
guy that
that.
made Victor Oladipo National Player of the Year. And
I
of course,
saw that, and it was noted and appreciated.
Thank you. And Coach Judd is going to get with us. Nikki's still on the train, by the way. He takes whatever train they have in Chicago, and he's running.
Oh, I wish I had that stupid song. My baby rides the train, or whatever that is. Yeah.
But,
Gina Easton.
Yeah,
Gina
look
Easton,
at you pulling it out, man. Mikey pulling it out. Boom.
This is a fact.
But
I saw Sheena Easton in concert once because my wife dragged me to that. So I know my Sheena Easton.
well, she was pretty hot, so it's not like that was a
We were
bad
too
thing
far
to
away
do.
for that part to count.
Oh,
Coach-
man. Well, I just wanted to get you guys on at the same time so you can say hi before I hit the break. But Mikey, appreciate you as always. Can't
Thanks,
wait
guys.
till next
Great to
week,
see
baby.
you.
It'll be fun.
Good
Hey,
to
we
see you,
got more-
Mike.
Judd,
Coming up. Go ahead. What was
Judd,
you
tell
gonna say?
everybody where you're at.
Well, right now I'm in northern Florida. So this is after 45 seasons. This is my first season in retirement.
Wow.
And
whoa.
the biggest thing I do is follow Mike DeCourcy.
That's a good thing to do.
Congratulations.
follow that college basketball wisdom.
Well, he's
I
welcome to
appreciate
stick
it.
with us, but I got to hit a break, guys. We've got tons more coming up. Appreciate you being with us. We're back with it and more right after these messages.
Indiana football accomplished what no other team ever has. Big Ten, Rose Bowl, Peach Bowl, and CFP national champions. The Hoosiers have etched their name into the history books as the first 16-0 team in the modern era. A limited edition of only 5,000 commemorative national championship footballs has been released. 3 full panels embossed and stamped with every championship logo and fully licensed. Get your piece of history today at NicoSports.com. That's NicoSports.com.
The ISC Sports Network is your home for sports content across the Hoosier State. Find us live on TV and streaming or archived on our website and our app. The ISC is your one-stop shop for the content you want to see, including high school sports, college sports, and other great events throughout the year. Subscribe to our streaming service and get access to it all. ISC. Local lives here.
If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemoreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISB Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on The Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer.
Dave & Buster's Bloomington is the place to eat, drink, play, and watch. Enjoy half-price games every Sunday through Thursday, a new menu to dig into, and next-level upgrades like private game suites, the high-flying human crane that puts you in the game, our exclusive arena, and more. Only at Dave & Buster's Bloomington, 731 South College Mall Road.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Tuesday, and it's time for Campbell's Corner, and JD has another great lineup. Former coach Rob Judson joining him right now, and we'll see if Nick Ziesloft can shoot his way in wherever he is coming in from. JD said, what, he's on a train somewhere?
He's on a train, going to work in Chicago. Kelly school grad.
Man, that's funny. It's so weird in America that there are places that are so freaking just different. I mean, Chicago is hell, I've been to Chicago, and it's not like it's kind of a tweener between the gigantic cities, but still the life of people who live in those cities and the life of people like us is night and day, and it's weird that it's in the same country. I just think that that's funny. Nothing to do with anything we're going to talk about today, but grateful to have Coach Rob Judson in here, former assistant, former head coach. He's been now he's retired, which is the greatest thing. Coach, thank you very much for joining us in Campbell's Corner as a favor to JD, and I appreciate it, but I know the fans do as well. Where in Florida are you as well? I want to know.
Hey, JD, I can't hear Jim right now.
Oh.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I want to introduce a man.
He's better off, JD. Tell him that he's better off.
I know he's better off not being able to hear you. First, Rob, Coach, I want to thank you. I've had the opportunity to know you and get to see you up close. First, when I was at Bowling Green and you were at Northern Illinois. But your history is so fantastic as I went back and looked at it. First off, you are in the Indiana Basketball Coaches Hall of Fame. And, you know, what an honor that must be. But one of the things, because you were playing when I was, a young, impressionable teenager and finishing high school, played for the Illini from 76 to 80. And you talked about what you guys did in the summer in Chicago, playing against all the great players is something that doesn't happen now. And also you were up close and personal for a lot of big IU Illinois rivalries. And I'd just love for you to talk about that, because you also mentioned that you would tell the guys from IU when you were here, hey, this is the game for Illinois, to make sure that they didn't overlook. And what did we go, 5-1?
During my time at Indiana, yeah, we were 5-1 against the Illini. So, for the Illinois kids, for the Illinois program, Indiana is the rivalry. There is no doubt about that. And going back to those days, one of my good high school friends was a terrific player at Indiana, Glenn Grunwald. He was the Chicago area player of the year. went to Indiana University, and it was really cool to have him come back a couple of times when I was coaching at IU. He came back with that '81 championship team for the game when we played North Carolina in Assembly Hall. And it was just great to make those connections. But Indiana for sure has had some very, very good players from the state of Illinois, from the Chicago area, Glenn Grunwald, Isaiah Thomas, to be sure. And my era was the same as Mike Woodson. So the Big Ten at that time was just terrific. I mean, it's been terrific all the time. But you go through. There's Nikki. You go through the teams and the players. Purdue had Joe Barry Carroll, the #1 draft pick coming out of the Big Ten. Minnesota had Kevin McHale. Indiana, Mike Woodson. Ohio State had Clark Kellogg and Herb Williams. Iowa had Ronnie Lester. So there were just Mike McGee at Michigan, Phil Hubbard at Michigan. It was an unbelievable array of talent in the Big Ten at that time. And of course, Michigan State with Magic Johnson and Greg Kelser. So every time you got on the court against a Big Ten team, there were pros, and there was extreme basketball because there was no shot clock and there was no 3-point line. So it was about as physical as you could get.
Well, it looks like we have our guy. He is there to work. He looks great. He looks great.
Thanks, guys.
10 years ago, a guy, Nick Ziesloft, who was really, I don't want to call him a pioneer, but he was in the era where the graduate transfer was something that schools were using to really supplement your roster. Not build it, but supplement. Mm-hmm. And I remember finding out Nick played two seasons, redshirted one for you. I think you were at Illinois State at the time, correct, Rob?
Yeah, we recruited Nick to Illinois State. Nick from the Chicago area, from Lyons Township High School in LaGrange. And so he came to Illinois State and he redshirted his freshman year. And was a tremendous student, and graduated Illinois State in 3 years. And he was the grad transfer with still 2 years left to play.
Yeah, that was
exactly right.
Yeah, that was really important back then, because I think the first grad transfer we had was Evan Gordon, maybe the year before you came. Rob joined us, and it was an unbelievable move, I thought, by Coach Crean to bring you on as our director of basketball operations midway through the 2014 season. And we ended up getting to the NCAA tournament. I think it's almost a mirror image of what IU's facing right now, is that they have to go to Chicago, and everybody doubted that we were going to be in, and we ended up beating Northwestern and playing Maryland pretty close. And we were in very comfortably as a 10th seed and went to Omaha to play Wichita State. But, Nick, what I remember the most is we were scurrying to get ready to go to Montreal. And there's this guy, Nicky Z, who's coming in, didn't know a soul. I don't even know if you got to practice with anybody before we went. Well, tell us about that story.
Yeah. Well, good to see you guys. First off, I thought Coach Judd earlier was going to segue from Isaiah Thomas to Nick Zeisloft in the Illinois basketball talk. But
hey, very, very close. All those Chicago area guys. There's no doubt. But Nick had a very interesting pathway to IU. And
that it was, Coach.
Yeah,
we had a fun time trying to figure that one out. And glad it did. So to answer your question, JD, I was there, if you recall, I got there like mid to early July before we went to Montreal, but I couldn't practice because I still was doing online classes through Illinois State and had to graduate. I think the graduation date, or I had to finish my credits, I think it was a day or two before we went to Montreal. So yes, I did not get to practice nearly whatsoever with the team in those 10 upcoming practices to Montreal, but was able to obviously play and perform when we were up there on that trip, which was the second time I had made that same foreign trip to Montreal, playing nearly all the same. I think it was 4 of the same teams, right, Coach Judd? Because when we
pretty much the same teams, yeah. At Illinois State, we
thing.
did the same foreign tour to Montreal. So Nick got the double duty on that. But the one thing that happened with Nick, he went through the transfer, had to graduate, and so he was finishing up his credits at Illinois State. But at that time, there was an NCAA rule known as the IAWP, the Individual Associated with Prospect, which is what I was because I had coached Nick at Illinois State. And so we had to go through an unbelievable waiver process with the NCAA in order to clear that hurdle that it would be okay for Nick Ziesloft to transfer to Indiana University where I was on staff. And so we got that cleared. Nick had to finish up his courses, and it came right down pretty much to the final day. But he got on that bus to get to the airport, and we went to Montreal, and it was a timely addition for us. And Nick was certainly a big part of that success that we enjoyed there at Indiana, especially the next season in 15-16.
Yeah, 47 and 22 was our record with Nicky Z.
Right.
Yeah, see, that's my job, right?
I didn't ever run the stats to figure that out, but
yeah.
I mean, to the point of Montreal, like, I'm so glad I had 2 and the graduation that, early that Coach Judd alluded to. Having 2 at IU is what I wish I could have had 5, but 1 would have been way too short personally. So I'm glad I got the 2, and personally, like, I know Max, and I'm sure we'll talk about him a little bit, as another grad transfer, he benefited greatly from it. But only got the 1. Imagine if he got another one with Coach Crean, and I'm just fortunate that I had 2 with him, from the development standpoint on and off the court, right? So,
yeah, and that first year, we started off knocking off some ranked teams, and by the end of it, you were second in the Big Ten in 3-point field goal shooting at 45%, and you were a career 42.3% shooter. And Nick, just the one thing that was very evident to me when I met you was that you were a kid that grew up in Illinois, but you were a monster Hoosier fan, weren't you?
100%. My dad went there in the early 80s, 81, 85. So I think one of my first words was Bobby Knight. Very, very locked into to everything on the hardwood. So this year was a little different now, obviously watching things on the gridiron. But, having a mom that went to Michigan and dad that went to Indiana, you knew your teams and your allegiances. So you grew up IU hoops, the history, the national championships, the Big Ten championships. It was part of that made me think, like, when we went to Maui, how rough it was and how bad we were at that point and how down we were at that point. Like, how are we going to – there's no way we're ending on my senior year at IU. All of this, everything's come to this, and we're just going to, crap the bed. So thank goodness we didn't do that. But all that, to say, growing up as a Hoosier, wanted to do it right, wanted to win at a high level, and wanted to bring home championships to Bloomington.
Rob, you alluded to that yesterday. We came in with some expectations. We weren't picked to win the league. That was Maryland. But after Maui and we go to Duke, that brutal, go to Maui and then have to go to Durham 6 days later in the ACC Big Ten Challenge, and coming home from that, we were an afterthought. And then what did you see happen to the team that ended up winning 12 games in a row and getting off to a 7-0 Big Ten start?
We started guarding. We started guarding, Coach.
It was It was a lot of what happened in Maui. Actually, we were just really not in very good sync when we went to Maui, and not offensively or defensively, and so we struggled there. Won one game and came back, and then had to go to Duke and played pretty well in the first half, but the second half. Duke had their way with us, and after that Duke loss, it was kind of like, well, this team isn't very good. What happened was Coach Green went back to the fundamentals. And Nick, if you remember some of those practices leading up to the Big Ten season, we just went really back to the basics. We went back to the fundamentals. We changed some of our defensive coverages. One of the things that we did in Maui was we had a drop coverage with Thomas Bryant on ball screens. And we changed that when we came back, and we started to hard hedge. And Thomas was much better with the hard hedge, and it helped Nick get over the ball screens a lot better with the hard hedge. So that was one thing that helped us a lot. And of course, we had some home games, some guarantee games at home in the Assembly Hall. We won those, but really it was that Notre Dame game, Nick, if you remember, in the Crossroads Classic in Indianapolis, and we were down maybe 16 points and came back and won it. And that gave us a lot of confidence going into the Big Ten season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was those practices right after Duke, and it was the way we handled the adversity. I think it was the Kentucky team that we played, mid-major school.
Morehead State.
Morehead State, thank you.
Yeah.
We played them quite a number of times, right, Coach Judd?
That's it.
So Morehead State, and then we don't come back down 16 against Notre Dame. We are down in the dumps. We might not go rattle off the first whatever, I think it was 8 games in the Big Ten to start the season, or start the Big Ten part of the season. It's, and the first loss being on the road in the Kohl Center, where you never get a whistle to save your life. So. If you can tell, it might be a hard PTSD moment still for me that we lost that one. But, we battled, we figured things out. We also had a pretty good point guard that we were able to put the ball in his hands and kind of get us synced on the offensive end, and just really see and run the motor, to the ship.
And our freshmen got better. Thomas Bryant was a freshman starting center. OG Anunoby later became a first-round draft pick, but early on was finding his way. Juwan Morgan was the same way, and those three really had a big impact on that team as the year went on. But early on, they had some freshman moments, and it all kind of came in sync and came together. And Nick really had some great impact. Nick and Max. I know you had Max on this show, JD, a couple of episodes ago. But Nick and Max had their times when they carried our team. That first game in the Big Ten, we went to Rutgers, who struggled that year. But it was Indiana on the road, and that place was sold out, and Rutgers gave us their best shot. Thomas Bryant, I think, fouled out and scored 2 points with 1 rebound, and Max might have had a double-double. And Nick made a couple of big threes, and we ended up winning that game. But we went all the way to when we played in the Kohl Center. And you talk about the whistle there, Nick. I think we shot 18 or 19 free throws, and Nigel Hayes shot 23 himself. And we lost that game in overtime in Madison. And so that was a battle. But our team really came together. And I remember a game in Minneapolis where we were struggling early, and Nick came in and maybe made 3 threes in that first half. 4 threes. Thank you, Coach. JD. 4 threes in that first half.
It's on YouTube, so Google it, as Coach Signetti likes to say. I found it this morning that we were down 9, and I remember, if I think I'm right about this, it was an 11 a.m.
Early
in
game,
Minneapolis.
And it was negative 10 degrees.
Oh, it was brutal. But I even remember, I think we flew there Thursday for a Saturday game, which was very uncharacteristic of what we did. And so we were kind of cooped up in that, in our hotel. And like I say, the wind chill alone in Minneapolis that week, like it would rip your face off.
when we got on the tarmac on the way home, we were just lucky and glad we could, converse on the plane on the way home and not have to be silent from a loss, because otherwise it would have been a double-edged sword with that piercing wind and ice and snow that we were facing. I don't even know how we got back to Bloomington, but glad we did.
Yeah, and Rob, one thing I want to ask you about, and Nick, and because as my memory serves me, we didn't see much of. We saw OG and Jawan start to emerge in the Notre Dame game, but then a day before, I think we were leaving for Rutgers, James Blackman tore his ACL, though we didn't announce it for another year that it was actually an ACL. It was Tim Garl's lower leg.
That's it.
In injury. But what was the thoughts of the coaching staff when one of the best shooters in the Big Ten goes down, and all of a sudden, how do you put pieces together to replicate what James could bring to our team?
The thing that it was unfortunate that James did get that injury, but as you see this a lot in college basketball, when that rotation is shortened, guys play with a little bit more confidence. Guys have a few more minutes out there on the court, and that happened to Nick. Nick's minutes increased. Rob Johnson as well, and those guys didn't miss a beat. They came in and they did well. It was unfortunate that we lost James, but it was just great to see Nick and to see Rob fill in his role and not even miss a beat with that team. And once again, Nick hit it right on the head. We did have a very, very good player in Yogi Ferrell, and Yogi was the kind of player that could really carry a team. And he had a tremendous senior season that year and won a lot of big games for us. But with the transfers, there is no way. And I talk about this. We talk about this all the time with my friends from Indiana. Our coaches, Chuck Martin and Tim Buckley, were the other two assistant coaches. We don't win that Big Ten without Nick and Max. There is just absolutely no way without the contributions that they made. Max coming in for the 1 year and having Nick for 2. There is no way, just like that Minnesota game, we don't win that game if it wasn't for Nick coming in and making those threes in the first half. And even though we had Yogi, we had Troy, we had some really, really good freshmen, Nick and Max were a big staple of that group.
Now, you bring something up that I thought
JD, let's take a break real quick so you guys can continue.
Okay.
Nick, can you hear me, by the way?
I got you.
All right.
Rob?
Yeah, you're good now. Yeah.
Well, the interview just got,
and I will stay out of it. Trust me. I'm just playing quarterback today. I'm the point guy. I'm handing it off. I'm just handing it off to you guys.
Hey, Jim,
man.
you know, Jim, JD has got those facts. He's already come in with about 3 or 4 of them that he pulls out because he was the master.
Trust me, I know. Believe me, that's why I've got the footstool today. I'm just got the hands behind the head and just watching. I'm just watching, enjoying it all. But Nick has been on with me before. It's been a while. Nick, how are you, buddy? Good to see you. Thanks again. But it is such a great honor to meet Coach Judson as well. But hey, we've got lots more coming up. JD and Campbell's Corner's got them loaded. Coach Rob Judson, Nick Ziesloft, the sharpshooter. We're back with more right after these messages.
Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISB Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on The Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage, and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Bored, Bloomington? Dave and Buster's can fix that. Eat and drink your way through our all-new menu. Play half-price games every Sunday through Thursday. Watch all your team's wins on a 40-foot screen and 30 HD TVs. And level all up with the high-flying human crane that puts you in the game. Private game suites, our exclusive arena, and more. Only at Dave and Buster's on 731 South College Mall Road.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Tuesday. Glad to have you along, getting your week going. Jim Coyle with you, and in Campbell's corner, JD's got him locked down today. Former coach, happily retired coach, I should say, Coach Rob Judson, former head coach of Northern Illinois, assistant at Indiana and many other places, and of course the sharpshooting Nick Ziesloft also on board as well. JD, take her away, and I will shut up.
Well, Rob, you alluded to something earlier when you talking about the staff, and what was very unique about that is that we had Coach Crean surrounded himself with three people with NCAA Division I head coaching experience, and Nick can talk about it too, but tell me why that was really an advantage, because you are guys that have been through the wars and know most everything that's going to come up, and that staff, you know, it was a great staff to work with. But I thought you guys really gelled, and Steve McLean was with us the year before, and then he went to UIC. So talk about having that experienced staff, and then Nick, after Coach talks about that, why don't you talk about some of the, maybe talk about the shot doctor. You know, our buddy, I think they're playing today, actually, Cincinnati. I don't, they may be playing in the Big 12 in Kansas City, but Rob, go ahead.
Yeah, when I came to Indiana, Steve McLean was an assistant coach, and at the end of that year, he became the head coach at UIC. So the next season, I moved from that ops position into the coaching position. Chuck Martin came. Chuck Martin had worked with John Calipari. He's back with John Calipari now at Arkansas, but he was there with Cal at Memphis, and then he was also a head coach in his own right. So we had three former head coaches, which really allowed us to kind of stay ahead of the game. You know, we had the experience. We could see around the corners. We knew that we had some very, very good players, and really tried to work with them individually to bring out their talents and their skills. And we had a great chemistry. I mean, we're still great friends today, and it was terrific to work with Tom. Tom was an awesome basketball coach, and he worked at it like nobody that I've ever worked with before. He was always watching film. He always had a terrific game plan. And so we just tried to jump on board with that and make sure that the players understood exactly what we were trying to do out there on the court. And that team, with the veterans, with Nick, with Max, with Yogi, with Colin Hartman, and when the freshmen meshed together with them, we became a very good basketball club.
Nick, you were the kind of guy that wore out your pass card to Cook Hall or Assembly, and talk about maybe your daily routine of how many shots you got up and who rebounded for you, and how you knew you could come probably at 7:30 in the morning and Coach Buck was there, or Coach Judd, or somebody was there to work you out.
Yeah, I mean, the coaching staff they never get enough credit, right? They're the ones that take the blame when things go wrong, and then they give the players all the credit when things go right. Circling back real quick before I touch on the wearing out Cook Hall question, it was pretty impressive having all four coaches, three assistants, and head coach being head coaches in their own right, in their own time, in their own past. From the scouting reports that Coach Judd would put together, Coach Buck or Coach Martin would put together, you knew you were getting the best of the best, because they were the experience level was, the attention to detail level was, at Coach Judd likes to say, at a high level. And then it's, to Coach Crean's, mastermind of an offense, how he just sees things. And we would put in 5 new sets at walkthrough day of the game, and then we go out and execute. Like, you just can't really replicate that, or I've not seen that replicated in many other places on many other teams. And again, to such a high level, and then been able to execute and win. So, the coaches, they made us go that year. They really, really got us locked in and synced up. And part of helping me sync up was Coach Buckley being in the gym with me. We had our day game routine, get in before walkthrough. We'd probably make close to 200 shots. He was like the constant reminder of, okay, you're doing a little bit of this, a little bit of that, fix a little bit of this, a little bit of that. It's hard to explain, but it's all small details when it comes to shooting. I started the Big Ten off shooting terribly. I think I was like below 20%, and which is not to my personal, in my personal opinion, to my caliber. And the ball was just coming off the side of my hand. It wasn't coming off the main two fingers. So it's something you need to just fix and replicate and repetition. But yeah, I mean, in college too, some weekend nights were more fun to be in the gym at 11 p.m. than they were, out being social. It just was how, when you want to succeed at a high level and be the best shooter you can be, that's what you got to do. And one other guy that loved to wear out that pass was Yogi. We would, when James went down and Rob was hurt, I had to raise my level on the defensive end. So what would Yogi and I go do in the gym? We'd go get our shots up, and then we'd play one-on-one, because I knew I was going to have to guard the 2 or the 3. I think it was Suleiman down the road, at home on senior night, Jamal Murray in the tournament, guys that are a lot better than me that I had to figure out a way to stay in front of. So why not go play a guy like Yogi one-on-one and see if I can stay in front of him?
That team, JD, and you witnessed it firsthand. They were gym rats. On the days when we couldn't coach, on the days off, they would be in that gym, just like Nick and Yogi. And Nick did one of the things that I'd never seen a player do before. He came into the practice gym, and he would work on his defensive footwork. And he would do that, I think, a lot with our strength coach Lionel too. Really, really worked with you, but he improved on the defensive end. And he mentioned too, we had James that got hurt, then Rob Johnson got hurt. The injuries which eventually got to us in the NCAA tournament. We really, really had a thin level of health in the NCAA tournament as it went on. But the other guys really, really came along, and guys would be in that gym, and they continued to improve throughout the season. So that was an impressive thing, because as Nick knows, repetition leads to habit, leads to reflex. And when you're working on your game that much, it really brings a team along, because individual players improve on their fundamentals.
Well, Coach and Nick, I really am interested. That postseason was very interesting, because we went into the Big Ten tournament as the number 1 seed, and then got, the bracket was leaked that year. So before it was announced, we knew that we potentially had a second round matchup with Kentucky, which I think, because we hadn't played since 2012, I don't know if that was by choice, just happened to be happenstance, or if they knew that on that Saturday afternoon that was going to get a lot of high ratings. But Coach and Nick, let's talk about the experience. We know the Michigan game, the guy stepped on the line, shouldn't have counted. But that's okay.
We don't need to talk about that one, JD.
No. But Rob, as a coach and as a staff, you want the players focused on the task at hand. But the moment that buzzer sounds and you're successful, you got to get ready for the next game. Talk about what it's like as a coach, and Nick, if you can add what what it is as a player is you guys were, certainly when we went to Des Moines, beating Chattanooga the way we did, and then getting ready for a Kentucky game that not a lot of people thought we were going to win.
No, and the NCAA tournament is kind of a contradiction in what you mentioned there, JD, because when you win a game, you naturally have some great elation, but that can't last very long because you have one day to get ready for the next game. And so you have to keep a very even keel. But I'll go back to before that NCAA tournament to our game at Iowa City when we had to beat Iowa to win the Big Ten championship. We didn't have Rob Johnson. We didn't have James Blackman. And we played tremendously well. Yogi really had a great game. It came down to the last possession, and Iowa missed it, and we were Big Ten champs. So right then we had unbelievable enthusiasm and elation, right? Big Ten champs. I remember I still have the picture of Nick and I in the locker room. Yep, number one, and I'm going to bring out the artifact right here. I got the Big Ten championship ring that you still have. And we had to get ready though to play Maryland at home, if you remember, on that last day. Yeah. And we played tremendously well. So this team showed the ability to have that focus on a quick turnaround and have a very high experience, and then get ready to play that next game. So yeah, we beat Chattanooga and then had to play Kentucky. Kentucky with Tyler Eulis and Jamal Murray were really good. And then you throw in just the fact that it's Indiana, Kentucky. And it was a back and forth game. We played very well. And I'll let Nick talk about the insides of that game because he did a terrific job. And it was a great win for us to move on to the next round.
No, definitely. That one, it was a weird weekend, like everyone thought we were going to lose to Chattanooga. They were calling us like the 5 to lose to the 12 and that. And then we just blitzed Chattanooga. I think OG had like 3 monstrous dunks that just like put them out of their misery. And it just wasn't even a ball game. Probably a good thing that we were able to come off that, as Coach noted, even keel to get right on to the next one. We knew we had our eyes set on Houston in the Final Four. That was where we wanted to go the whole year. And the next task at hand was beating Kentucky. We never thought that they were, we had played a talented Duke team earlier in the year. We saw Kentucky as the next challenge at hand and wanted to take care of business. It was a good point that Coach made about being able to just get back at it and regroup and take care of business. One thing to note on Coach's front on Iowa City, thank goodness we won that in Iowa City and didn't have to go clinch the outright championship on senior night, because then things would have been a little more tight. I think we wouldn't have played as loose and blown out the Terps if we hadn't got that thing done in Iowa City.
Well, Nick had a great play against Maryland, JD. If you remember, the ball was going out of bounds down by the Maryland bench, and he saved it with a behind the back full court pass to Juwan Morgan, who made the layup. And the Assembly Hall just absolutely erupted. And from that point on, it was over, Nick. It was over.
That was a play I'll never forget. It just happened so fast you don't realize it happens, though. But what do they always teach you? Don't save it underneath the opponent's under the opponent's basket. So launch it as far as you can. And I don't know why Juwan was there, but he was there. I mean, maybe it just goes back to what you were saying. We were just so in sync, right, Coach? But
great chemistry.
That was a fun one. Whenever I need to go back down memory lane, it's nice to hear Coach Rafferty's voice on the call for that highlight reel. One of the best to ever do it.
Is there anybody better than to have Raftery on any call? No. I've always loved him. I swear, I still. And to this day, I think he's the greatest. With the kiss. Speaking of the kiss, we've got to take a break. We've got the great JD Campbell, Campbell's Corner, Nick Ziesloft, and Coach Rob Judson. We've got more coming up. Back with it and more right after these messages.
The ISC Sports Network is your home for sports content across the Hoosier State. Find us live on TV and streaming or archived on our website and our app. The ISC is your one-stop shop for the content you want to see, including high school sports, college sports, and other great events throughout the year. Subscribe to our streaming service and get access to it all. ISC. Local lives here.
If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemoreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISB Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on The Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer.
Dave & Buster's Bloomington is the place to eat, drink, play, and watch. Enjoy half-price games every Sunday through Thursday, a new menu to dig into, and next-level upgrades like private game suites, the high-flying human crane that puts you in the game, our exclusive arena, and more. Only at Dave & Buster's Bloomington, 731 South College Mall Road.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Tuesday. Grateful to be here with you and grateful to have Campbell's Corner locked in. J.D. Campbell has got Coach Rob Judson, Nick Ziesloft joining us. And guys, the NCAA tournament is right around the corner. Big Ten tournament starts today, kind of, with the 2 worst or 4 worst teams in the league. I guess it actually starts tomorrow, but man, what are some of the funnest times for both of you? The NCAA tournament, especially when you guys won Big Ten titles, and just a lot of good basketball was going on.
Definitely. I mean, I'll go first, Coach Judd. I mean, as a kid, you want to play in the tournament growing up. You fill out your bracket. You watch the games all weekend. It's just something you always want to do. So once you were able to play college ball, remember when Coach Judson and I were at Illinois State, we wanted to be the first Illinois State team to go since the 90s. We fell short of that, but fortunately Coach Judd and I could regroup at IU together and make it happen there. Although we couldn't ever get past Coach Wichita State coach. It just was something else, but neither here nor there on that front. But we made it count our senior year, my senior year together. And we'll never, ever take that for granted. That was one of the best basketball seasons of my life, if not the best. Again, we wish we went to the Final Four. We in our books, we beat North Carolina. We're going to the Final Four. We're beating Wisconsin, Notre Dame. We already had done it, and handily. So it just was the wrong matchup, wrong time. And we just weren't quite ready, but to say the least, man, going to the Sweet 16 was quite the experience, and something that is, I think, every college basketball player's dream.
The NCAA tournament is definitely the pinnacle, and especially when you win that round of 32 game and you have the week to prepare, and the week of the media and the week of the build-up, the excitement for the Sweet 16 game. There's really nothing like that, and it was great that Nick was able to experience that, and that the team was able to experience it. And unfortunate in that North Carolina game, we were way more beat up than anybody knew when we went into that game. We had lost James JD, as you mentioned, in December. Rob Johnson was injured. Colin Hartman hurt his wrist, I believe. Nick, is that right? He hurt his wrist
the week before. Yeah,
the week before. Jawans Morgan's shoulder needed surgery. Matter of fact, I think it even went out during that North Carolina game. And Carolina was really good. They were a really good team. Obviously, they went to the national championship game, and that was the game against Villanova when it was the back-to-back threes that Villanova ended up winning. So they were a really good team, and Nick wasn't there to experience it, but we did avenge that loss the next fall in Assembly Hall in Bloomington when Carolina came in, and we had that 81 team had their reunion, and we ended up beating Carolina that night. It was one of the most fantastic games and atmospheres in Assembly Hall that I've ever been involved in. So really, when you look at at that stretch, Nick's team beat Kentucky. Then that fall, we went to Hawaii again, and we beat Kansas, and then we beat Carolina at home in Assembly Hall. So there were those 3 blue blood games that we played and were successful in about a 7 or 8 month stretch, JD, which was pretty high level basketball.
Well, let me tell you my highlight of the Philadelphia trip. I did what was known as the Philadelphia double. And the SID always has a car. So I kind of go off on my own. And I took my wife, Carrie, to the little corner in Philadelphia where they sell the cheesesteaks. And I devoured one from Pat's and then walked across the street and had another one from Gino's. And so that's what Philadelphia will always be to me, besides just those two, the memories of, I always tell people one of the hardest things that I had in the NCAA tournament was passes. Trying to, because again, you never knew who might come either from an IU alum or, like in Tom's case, how do you get the Harbaughs in? And with John being in Baltimore and Jim, and of course, when you get one Harbaugh, you get them all. And Jack certainly, was there, and Joni's mom, with dad and mom and the whole family. But yeah, that was really a special event. And Des Moines did a great job of hosting that tournament. Of course, I will tell you this, Rob, and I don't know if you feel the same way. It seems like you really enjoy visiting somewhere when you win, as opposed to when you lose.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt about that. But JD, you always had your hands full at those tournaments because your responsibilities with the media and then with all of the passes and everything, and you just did a tremendous job. So I know Nick feels the same way. It was just awesome to be able to work with you during that time at IU.
Always on point, JD. You never, not one detail was ever left not figured out, man. You always had it all under control. Whether you made it seem like it was or it wasn't, that's another story. I don't know. You can tell me, but you seem like you had it under lock and key every single time.
Well, I appreciate that very much. I've taught classes for about 10 years, and I say the most important thing that the SID is responsible for are parking passes. Because, every coach's wife or administrator or university, high-level university people, hey, you got a parking pass, and so I kind of mastered that. I could finagle whatever I could anytime, and it was a great honor to be in that role at Indiana, and certainly working with you guys made it a lot easier. Let me tell you a Yogi Ferrell story. Yogi, to me, again, is the most important player at Indiana in the 21st century because he won 2 Big Ten championships and started on both teams.
And assist leader in the program.
Yeah, and the dagger 3 at Iowa, I made sure I got a picture of that and a picture of Zeller, when we won the Big Ten at Michigan. But Yogi really had a system. And again, I do press conferences now. So you have a cooling off period. And the rest of the guys have to stay in the locker room and answer questions from the media, which we rarely had open locker rooms other than the postseason. And Yogi knew this. So you talk to the head coach, an opening statement, the players answer 2 or 3 questions, and then they're dismissed. Yogi always wanted to know where the holding room was so he could time it and get back to the locker room just as the locker room was closing. He was brilliant in that way, but what a great leader. And the whole group of guys, just a lot of fun. And we did get to, the national media, the exposure, going into the rooms and talking to CBS before every game, and just playing in Philadelphia, and sometimes you get to a city and you got a lot of time, and other times you're rushed. But I thought we got to explore Philadelphia a lot.
It was a great trip until the end of it there.
Marcus
right?
Page.
Right, Nick. Yeah,
that was a long day, man. We left the arena at 2 a.m, tears rushing down the eyes for like hours. I mean, we started the game at like 10:30 Eastern time, I think.
Right.
And then you lose, and I mean, I have not watched the game again till this day. I don't know if I ever will, although it would be wild to see what it looked like, to see what a Sweet 16 game looked like with me on the court. But no, I mean, tough one. But, I like Philly in other respects now, the cheesesteak aspect, honestly. But yeah, no, to your point, it was a great season. One of the best, honestly. Without a Yogi Ferrell, we probably don't do it. I was sitting next to him, front row in the film room. Some of those film sessions were easier than others, but the ones where we were actually like, not getting grilled by Coach Judd or Coach Crean because I didn't close out right or, make the right read or whatever, were the ones we were scouting the other team. And Yogi and I were in each other's ears. I mean, I remember Coach like several times having to tell us like, what are y'all talking about up there? Quick, keep it down, keep quiet. But Yogi and I were just, like, you see that? I see that. You see that? I see that. Let's attack it this way. Like reading a game. We were both seniors at the time. We'd seen a lot of basketball, and we were able to, piece things together. So it was a lot of fun playing along. Yeah, maybe the best Hoosier in the 21st century. I don't want to, knock Oladipo or Zeller off that pedestal either, but Yogi in my book is my guy.
Nick Ziesloft, I can't thank you enough, Coach. I cannot thank you enough, Coach Rob Judson, and of course the maestro JD Campbell for Campbell's Corner. But hopefully we can do this again because I know that it never gets finished and could go on and on. But, man, I can't thank you guys enough. Nick, always, man, I appreciate you so much. Earlier when JD said you were on the train, I got that stupid song in my head. My darling takes me on the morning train, whatever.
Morning train.
Yes.
There you
go. Somebody else, I think Gritty said it's stuck in her head now. So we've got
Switch
that
problems,
going on.
man. Switch problems. I'm sorry I was late.
Hey, Jim, I think Nick, have you have something you got to tell Coach Judson? Or did you already tell him?
I did. I let him know recently. We're very excited. We have a baby boy on the way. My wife and I are expecting our first kid, so
Congratulations! I'm only sad that I'm retired and not coaching, so I could recruit him in a few years because he could probably going to be able to make a few shots and
he's already making shots. Probably
if he has Britta's athleticism, he'll be a very, very good athlete.
Oh,
That's true.
When they did the ultrasound, did it come out with his hands like that? Was he already in the shooter's motion? Did he have his elbow in?
He was blocking his face, so I don't know if he was trying to get a hand up there or what, but he was blocking his face.
But he wears number 2.
We'll see. That's up for us. Yeah, we'll see. My wife wants to go to Kansas, but I want the Hoosiers.
Nick, look behind me.
There we go.
I can get that soon.
Guys, I can't thank you enough. Appreciate you so much. Thanks each and every one of you guys.
Great to see you.
Look forward to doing this again. Thanks to Mike DeCourcy as well as each and every one of you. We're back tomorrow to do it again. Until then, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.